Hey, Randy Joe here, and welcome back to the channel where today we're going to be closing out the Cocteau Twins discography, listening to the final LP from none other than this incredible, masterful, dream pop, gothic sort of band. You know, they've gone through various stages at this point in their career, and closing it out, of course, with their final LP that released in 1996, that, of course, being Milk and Kisses. Now, like I said, they've gone through various phases. They kicked off things with a much more gothic approach with Garlands, an LP that I thoroughly enjoyed, which if you're interested, you could check out any of the reactions of any of their albums from their discography on my channel. And as they've gone through these phases and gone from a much more gothic nature and slowly transitioned over to a full poppier, more dream pop aesthetic, it's been really interesting to kind of track that progress. Some of these albums really do feel like a cross section of those two ideas, those two kind of separate genres. And Milk and Kisses, from what I gather, is going to be probably their most overtly poppy sort of aesthetic. I really enjoyed their last LP, 4 Calendar Cafe, but I found it interesting knowing that when making that album, apparently they were recording all of their own sessions separately, which is shocking considering how well it all came together. Of course, this was due to the fact that Robin Guthrie, as well as Elizabeth Fraser, the lead vocalist, were having a falling out in their relationship after about, I think, 13 years, which led to them not being able to work together for some time, and made that album maybe a little bit more fragmented. But with Milk and Kisses, from what I read, they're all back in the studio. It's much more collaborative. They're all working together, and they're much more unified as they all entered their own relationships and kind of move past the heartbreak, of course, of that long, tumultuous relationship. But that's about as far as I know in terms of the backgrounds of Milk and Kisses. I didn't want to go too deep into, of course, the lore because I like to keep things as fresh as possible. So without further ado, Milk and Kisses, their final LP, 10 tracks, 42 minutes and 45 seconds. Let's get into it with the first track here, Violin, I believe it's pronounced. Volume pushed up. Let's go. Violin. Oh my goodness. A real thick bass to kick things off from Simon Raymond there. Let's turn it down a little bit. And let's start over. Here we go with Simon. Really sets the tone as we get into it here. I like this kind of marching approach, this slow, more meticulous driving factor that's coming down this track. Oh! Were those the backing vocals there from Fraser? The way it kind of wrapped around and elevated sounded very alien-like, almost like a synth, but I think it was Fraser there. She comes around right here. Wow. Love that surrounding sound. Man, her vocals are on full display with this track, just completely enveloping in every direction. And Robin's guitars here, so blunt and rough. That reverb heavy as always. Oh, it's still going. You think it's coming to an end there. But it just dials things back before going back into this main, like I said, slower, more marching groove. That was a great one. I really like that one. Really sets the tone. Her backing vocals and really just her vocals in general, so well arranged, so swirling in the mix. Really heard her in really every direction as she kind of surrounded us there, and also to every pitch, which, like I've said in previous videos, she's very incredible at creating these soundscapes with just purely her vocals acting as instruments rather than pronouncing, of course, very direct lyrics, something that she often does not do. So really liked the arrangements of Fraser on that one, but also really enjoyed, Robin's incredible guitar playing as always, super rich and pushed to the max there. And Simon really kicked things off with that great bass line that just kind of sink you into it. Solid opener. Here is Serpent Skirt. Really interesting titles on Milk and Kisses. We got Serpent Skirt, Tishbite, Half Gifts. What is this? Rilkian Heart. As always, Cocteau Twins, not just challenging the form of music, challenging the form of language. Here is Serpent Skirt. A real country twang on this one, which I've said in the last video. If they did a full, kind of throwback country album, I think they could do it. I think they would offer something very atmospheric to that world. Love Robin's guitars there. Just so rich. That arpeggio downwards and strumming away. Love the slower nature of both tracks so far. There's maybe a bit more of a sense of sorrow on these first two tracks. Man, love how rich that sound was there. Everything kind of crashing together. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Love Simon's bass. Just deep. All in the background there. Everything's kind of built on that bass line riff, it seems. That's a solid track. I really enjoyed that one as well. Really like the much more sluggish tone that we're getting on those first two tracks. Here is Tishbite is the name of this one. Sounds like we got some sort of organ here coming into the mix, which is a little shocking for them. Sounds like some sort of organ. Oh, I like when Fraser sings in this voice. Very warm and comforting. She sang in this regiment a lot on Heaven to Las Vegas. I gotta say, maybe I've missed him in the past, but I feel like Simon's bass playing, I should say, on this record is a lot more apparent than a lot of the earlier records. I feel like I don't speak enough on Simon Raymond's playing, but on this one here especially, I feel like with these last two tracks, even that opener, actually, now I think about it, he has a much more distinct bass kind of sound brought to the table here. Definitely feels like the three of them are a lot more collaborative, This swirling, almost organ-like instrument there is a really interesting addition. I've never heard them, I think, embrace that aesthetic there. Maybe almost like an accordion of some sort. I don't know what it is. Definitely not any of the main three instruments we're used to within the mix. I did like that one as well. Again, a much more slower, much more prodding sort of sound that they're bringing to the table with this one. It doesn't feel like it is as in your face or as explosive, which I think I'm enjoying for the most part. Definitely much more dream pop than a lot of their earlier records. I feel like at this point they are full on dream pop with their entire vision. Here's Half Gifts on this one. Oh, I like this sneaking in. I like that. It's like a piano, I think. feels very like lullaby-esque so far, this one. Very sweet. Maybe some sort of synth, I'm not sure. Easily one of the dreamiest on the album so far. This is a very dream world-esque track so far. It does feel very like very much like a lullaby with how again swirling and slow it is. Very hypnotic. Feels like you're kind of being rocked to sleep here. Especially those keys. It's very hypnotic. It's very much like a just gentle calm that kind of sucks you in. It's very entrancing. Like that rising warm guitar tone. Beautiful. I love that one. That one was so soft and just gentle and heartwarming. Here's Calfskin Smack. Opening with a breeze. Oh. One thing I haven't talked to us about really with their discography is their album covers, as abstract as they are, I feel like really do match the energy and the atmosphere of their records. Like Heaven in Las Vegas has this very warm, loving, sweet atmosphere through it that, of course, is complemented by that very purpley red cover that is very abstract in nature. And then this LP so far is very bright and very shining and very dreamy and very just like almost like everything feels just slightly out of focus. And this album cover matches that tone entirely. Like it feels as vivid as blinding as that cover, especially the last few tracks. But this one too, like just dives right into it. Really feels shimmery. Love that drum machine there, just all surrounding there on each side. Oh, buried vocal here. So distant. Love that kind of shaky trilling she offers on that side. I like that gentle ding there. It sounds like a triangle. Such a little detail, but it adds to that very glimmery atmosphere. Beautiful. Again, very lullaby-esque, especially those backing vocals there. She closed it out. Another great one. Really shining aesthetic across the board so far. Here's Rilkian Heart. The guitars, like I said, really offer up this right there country flair that I wish we would get more of. Not much to say about this one other than the very sweet, soft factor we've come to know already is already very clear. I love the very swirling guitars that we're getting that are very country infused. Ooh, especially that, the way it whammied out. Very wavy. Oh. Bit of a detour to let those drums come through here. Much more chaotic with these drums here. And pulls it all back away. Love that heavy detour. Another gorgeous one, but not much to say, you know. I like the detour we got in that second half. Let's go into ups. I believe it's ups. Oh. They really isolate the drum work a lot throughout this record. I know it's a drum machine. I had somebody comment on that in the past. I'm aware it's a drum machine, but they're definitely pushing it a lot more to the forefront with this LP than they did in the past. I feel like usually it's there just sort of set up maybe a backbone to the track, or there to just kind of provide a little bit more of that expected percussion. But on this track and that previous one, definitely pushed a lot more to the front in the mix. Fraser getting quite operatic there. I feel like in another universe, Elizabeth Fraser would have just become a full-on opera singer with the way she could just belt it out and kind of trill and waver that voice. She's really rolling the random phrases. Something we've seen her do in the past is rolling those R's quite strongly, but this one she's using almost as an instrument, like a ringing. That one was a bit more subtle, but I really liked what Fraser was doing with her voice on that one, that rolling of the R. And I like the drum work, of course, pushed to the forefront, but not necessarily a standout track. Here's A Perdu. I like these crashing waves that's opening everything up. I'm a big fan of the more ambient nature. I feel like we're floating through the sky over a foggy ocean or something in this one. Those crashing waves. This hypnotic, tranquil sound that they're bringing to the table with those guitars. A very soaring kind of aesthetic. Also, easily one of my favorites here. This bass line coming in feels very freeing. Man, this is easily the most tranquil mix so far we've gotten. Very ambient in its focus. God, her voice, it's just so operatic and shaky. It feels so just like freeing and airy, and you got these crashing waves. That bass line was much more rich, especially in that second half as it came in. This is kind of earlier in their career, they had in the mid 80s there, The Moon and the Melodies, which I did a reaction to, and that was a collaborative effort with Harold Budd, who I'm a big fan of. I love Harold Budd's work, especially because he's, in my opinion, just as strong as Brian Eno in terms of ambient records. But when they had their collaborative effort, I felt like it was much more of a Harold Budd record than it was a Cocteau Twins album. My problem with that is it kind of lost that collaborative feel, of course. It felt, like I said, like a real Harold Budd kind of project instead. This track here was A Perdu, feels like what I was expecting from that Harold Budd collaborative effort, where it feels like something that Harold would do with those soft crashing waves in the background. It felt very ambient and slow and hypnotic. And then you had, of course, Robin Guthrie's guitars, Simon Raymond's bass playing, and the incredible Frazier vocals on top there that feel kind of like what I wanted from an ambient Cocteau Twins sort of track, and in that case it would have been a whole album of that. But like I said, I feel like that album, while I did enjoy it, didn't necessarily combine their best elements in the best and smoothest way possible, whereas this feels like it would have been kind of what I was expecting, except that here this is an entirely solo Cocteau Twins project, no Harold Budd included, yet feels closer to what I was hoping for. So with that in mind, this is easily my favorite actually on the album. I'll go as far as saying I just feel like it's so freeing, felt so beautiful. Most of this album has that kind of slow, kind of ticking hypnotic nature, but this one especially I feel like kind of perfects everything all around. 2 more tracks. Let's get into track 9 here, Treasure Hiding. And there is a bit more of an ambient focus maybe on this record, and like I said before, Cocteau Twins isn't one to shy away from a sense of ambience in their records. Look at Victorialand. This is another one, like I said, feels very kind of like Harold Budd infused, especially those strings. I know it's got to be Robin on the guitar, but the production on them, that very echoey, dreamlike atmosphere. Very ambient. This does feel like a cutoff of Victorialand as well. Oh, there we go. A halfway track of ambient and splashing into this. Oh. Much clearer lyrics shining through too. This feels very much like Lazy Calm. I know I've said that in the last video as well. Big fan of Lazy Calm if you haven't caught on yet. But this one as well has that same energy of half the track is just building up with this very slow ambient nature before diving in all in on Frazier's vocals there. Oh. Robin's guitarist here just ripping through the mix. So much reverb on it, every note really echoing like 30 times over. That was a beautiful one. Really love that one too. Like I said, as a big fan of that ambient stuff that they were doing a bit more earlier in the career, this feels like a return to that form. Let's close it out with Seekers Who Are Lovers. Oh, a bit more of an ominous kind of start. All her lyrics, sometimes they come through sharp and clear, and then they fade out and become almost one with the mix, undecipherable. Simon's bass lines on this one, a lot more sporadic and interesting. And like I said, I feel like on this record he is a lot more evident with his playing. Feels like a almost heartbreak track in a way. There's like a sense of maybe deep respect and love, a bittersweet ending of sorts. Here's the very key Robin section coming through here. Really like that one too. It had a very strong bittersweet feeling to it. Probably one of the ones that I would say are lower on my favorites off this record. Closing it out there, closing out Milk and Kisses, but also closing out the Cocteau Twins discography. This is the final album, like I've said, from Cocteau Twins, and I gotta say, I feel like all in all, they are incredibly consistent across the board from beginning to end with their discography, because even this final record where their relationship has come to an end, For Calendar Cafe was them kind of struggling to maintain a working relationship. Of course, as I was saying at the beginning of this video, they were recording their parts separately in the studio just to avoid that sense of confrontation, whereas here they come back and they're a lot more collaborative. But even For Calendar Cafe and this album here, I feel like are both extremely strong. For most musicians, this would be a really great record. For Cocteau Twins, maybe it's not up to par as maybe Treasure, or maybe as obviously as strong as A Heaven or Las Vegas, or even Victorialand, which I'm a huge fan of as well. But still, not a single bad album in the whole discography. I'll say that. And Milk and Kisses, I think I like a little bit more than For Calendar Cafe, just based off of the first listening at least. Really enjoyed this entire record. I like the more ambient focus of some of these songs, especially in the second half. I feel like they really embrace that sense of ambience, especially with track 8, A Perdu. Easily my favorite on the record here. Honestly, just as strong as anything off of, Victorialand, for example, which has the same kind of vibe and feel. I feel like it really does feel like they are able to hone in on that sense of chemistry that they've had, in that midpoint of their career, all the way to the very end, when clearly things were starting to close up with them. Treasure Hiding had an incredible open with that first half. It splashes into it in the second half. Again, I really love when they do that with their music, like Lazy Calm. I feel like that is a very intentional and unique sort of structure to a track. It really sets the tone. And a lot of this record, like For Calendar Cafe as well, does have that bit of a country twang, and I feel like that's due to Simon Raymond's playing. I feel like his bass lines are a lot more groovy and a lot more pushed to the forefront, that add that much more country sound to it that I really enjoy. And I feel like it shows their range. It shows what they're capable of. If they really wanted to do a full country record or a full ambient record, they could, but they, of course, still stick to their lane of dream pop while adding in these little sprinkles of kind of subgenres within it, which is actually very unique and very intentional, and in my opinion, kind of makes their work feel a lot stronger in a way, because they don't fully step away and step outside what's expected of them, yet still continue to evolve that sound they're known for from that dream pop era. So Milk and Kisses is incredible. It's a great listen front to back. Certainly one I will be coming to a lot more, and I will listen to their entire discography in full many times over before, of course, we do a Cocteau Twins best to worst tier list that will be on the channel in the next couple of weeks to close out the discography in full. And of course, if you're interested in Cocteau Twins to the extent of wanting to hear or see me react to all of it, every last bit of it, up on the Patreon under the $10 tier, I have all of the EP reactions for their work going up throughout this month. So if they're not up already, they're all slowly coming out throughout the month. So check that out if you are so interested. But that does it for today's video. If you like the video, please hit like, subscribe. Like I said, check out the Patreon for the $5 tier. You get all my unedited reaction, every single Cocteau Twins album reaction, completely unedited. And that $10 tier will give you the those EP reactions as well in full. Otherwise, that does it for today. My name is Randy Joe. I appreciate you watching, and I'm signing off.